During the summer in my town, there's a little bit of a tradition that folks have where they put stuff by the road that they think might be useful to other people. So it's not really garbage. Well, I guess it's garbage to them, but they're thinking that somebody out there is going to be able to make use of it. And I was driving around one day and I saw this dresser. And what did I do? Well, of course, I brought it home because I thought I can do something with this dresser. I can make something happen. This thing is beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous, isn't it? And then I kind of started to look at it once I got it home a little more carefully and realized that it looks good at a distance, but there's definitely some flaws with it. In particular, like the wood is kind of bent on this one side, and the drawers don't really open quite the way that you would want them to. And there's the drawers are kind of dirty. They're messy, and this drawer is incomplete. There's a hole in the back of it, and the top of it is not nailed down. So there's some problems with the dresser, but maybe I can just get to work on it and make something happen. So I pulled out the old shop vac and said, maybe I'll just do a little bit of vacuum job here. And actually, the vacuum job made everything look a lot better. This stuff, whatever that was, came out quite easily with the vacuum. And then just a lot of the general dust and dirt that was on this piece came off quite nicely with the help of the shop vac. So then I was able to pull out the broom and dust off the top of it. And I would say things were looking better already once it was getting itself cleaned up. Once I did look inside of it, though, there was obviously structural flaws. Like this part here was actually missing the rails for the drawer, and this rail actually fell off, which was actually a bit of a blessing in disguise because I was able to take that back into the shop and use it as a little bit of a template. So I had some spare wood downstairs from other projects, and I thought to myself, well, I can try and see if I can remake these rails. And I would say I am not the most skilled at woodworking. Like, I try hard and I'm trying to learn, and I feel like I do make progress, but if you're looking for an amazing woodworker, I am probably not that. But I was able to cobble this together, which was sort of a makeshift rail that I was able to get put into the dresser. And once it was in there, I ended up just gluing it in just so that it would stay. I don't know, everything seemed to be working a lot better. The drawers seemed to be sliding better, not perfectly, but certainly tolerably. I had some more spare wood downstairs that I pulled up to fill in the back of the other drawers, and this one I did get pretty detailed. I pulled out measuring tape and was trying to be as meticulous as possible to see if I could really get this drawer put back together properly. So I laid everything out on this piece of wood, pulled up the square, got everything all straight, and I had to use this longer piece of wood because I didn't have a long piece that I could draw all the way along the piece of wood. But once I had everything laid out, I was able to pull out the saw and sort of go to work on this piece. And again, I'm not the most skilled woodworker, but I feel like I'm learning. And I felt that this part actually did come out quite successfully once I was able to get it cut down to size. And it really was a moment of truth moment because when I did bring it back in, it was like, will this fit? Did I measure it properly? And it was a little bit long on the one end. So it needed a little bit more work, but we're getting there. As for the top piece, I had a look at this to decide what I wanted to do, and I thought that the way I would get this kind of flattened out on top was to use these shims to make the top of it flat, and then even if it was lifted up underneath. But what I should have done was stopped and asked, why is this like this? Because I did notice further on down that there were some structural issues with the dresser. So I started to work on those as well as I got the wheels off the bottom of the dresser. And yeah, when I really got looking, way too many shims are going to be needed. This is not right. So I did do a bunch of work to try to get things straightened out that I wasn't able to record because I really had to work on it. And look at that. Doesn't that look better? Doesn't that look like not a professional job, but a semi-professional job? Then I started nailing down the top because, again, you saw earlier, the top of this piece was not nailed down. I used a screw to try to get the nail to be set into the wood. My plan is to go over it after with some wood filler if the camera survives. The camera did survive, and you see, like, it's nailed down now. This is starting to be proper. This seems like, a good woodworking project turning out the way that one might expect it to. But I do need to fill in these holes. That's sort of my next piece that I need to get to. And so I pulled out the wood filler to see what I could do. So I stuck some wood filler in there. I had the rubber gloves on because I didn't want to get the wood filler on my hands, and I was also able to use the rubber gloves to kind of dab it into the hole. And it seemed to be working pretty well. I used this shim here to try to really get the wood filler into the hole properly. I had to add some extra wood filler to it, and eventually I was pretty satisfied with how that turned out. So it was, of course, raised up above the surface, which meant that I had to go through and sand it, which I was planning to sand this piece anyway. I thought that it would make the deck, the top deck, turn out, the face of it turn out a lot better, and I'm pretty convinced that that is the case. So there it is. I sanded the front of the drawers as well as the main dresser itself, and now it's ready to paint.